Walk into almost any modern gym and you'll see rows of treadmills, weight stacks hooked to cables, more cables, TV screens, basically just movement with instructions built in with entertainment to suit. But humans didn't evolve with guide rails, so here's a question. Are gym machines anti-human, or are they the tools that help us adapt? Today on the Movement Multiverse, we're unpacking why this debate exists, where it came from, why this answer probably matters less than you think, and what you should consider when getting started. Welcome to the Movement Multiverse. My name is Max and I will be the host for today's episode. The Movement Multiverse is a podcast for movement nerds, curious minds, and anyone who wants to think about movement beyond just the gym. Hosted by Max, each episode is intended to give you a new perspective on movement by exploring movement in all its forms, drawing from science, history, culture, fitness, media, and more. No episode is intended to treat any individual's medical problems, for education and entertainment purposes only. So the idea for this episode actually came from listening to one of my parents talk about how she had found a exercise on Facebook that told her, do this one exercise, do this one workout, and you'll reach the goals that you've been trying to hit. So you'll lose the weight, you'll gain the muscle just by doing this one exercise. And I think it's, similar to what we're talking about here. There's so many videos and inconsistent unity across the movement professions, especially I'm thinking, personal training or fitness influencing, physical therapy maybe, where the professionals in the space are just so inconsistent with how they talk about, should you be doing machines? Should it be more focused on free weight? What's more functional? What actually matters? And I'm here to say to give my 2 cents and say that it does not matter. It's actually pretty simple. If you're doing something hard and something that challenges you, something that, it's something you want to get better at, that's all that really matters. Of course, if as we get more advanced, maybe you want to grow your muscles more. So doing a specific movement more often might help you do that thing. Or maybe you want to be able to pick up something heavy from the floor. So doing maybe, more free weights eventually is going to help you more. But in the beginning, it really doesn't matter. So I'll just give you, my upfront advice that machines and free weights they're for everybody. At any level, you can use machines to work on strength. You can use it to modify pain levels. We can use them to isolate joints and the muscles surrounding those joints. We can use them to introduce movement to somebody. We can also use free weights to advance where they were at with gym machines or help them be more interested in the exercise. So to say that one is more supreme than the other is it's plain wrong. And I think it's guiding people to not getting to their fitness goals or their movement goals or out of pain, whatever it might be. So this podcast is really for anyone who's trying to get back into fitness, there's learning more about fitness and movement, or maybe you're a movement professional trying to decide, what's best for your client. And it really comes down to what's their goal? What's your goal? What do you want to get better at? But I think it's also interesting to understand where it came from, where this divide came from between the free weight versus gym machine, just because the more we know, the more power we have over our own health. So what do the Greeks and Henry Ford have in common? Well, if you're in the fitness world, or maybe you're considering fitness, not much. So way back when, the Greeks invented the Olympics. They used things like sandbags. Some of the first early documented dumbbells were found from the Greek regions. Henry Ford, on the other hand, was someone who valued efficiency and repetition. So the way he did that was making cars more accessible by creating the assembly line. So high repetition, everyone has one specific job that they do. If we're comparing it to the gym, each machine has one specific muscle or joint or movement that it trains, and we can get high repetition, which is more accessible to more people. So if you've seen videos on social media about, free weights are superior, maybe those people were influenced by the Greeks who used more quote unquote free weights. So things like dumbbells or sandbags or just picking up heavy things to compete in their sport, versus another influencer might be promoting something like the newest machine to squat. So maybe like a pendulum squat machine that helps really focus in on a specific type of squat that maybe wasn't available back then. So the way that comes into practice now is a lot of people believe in one method over the other to achieve a certain goal and kind of push off the other or say the other one shouldn't be done. And I think that's a fair point. A lot of our culture, like movies, show that the strongest characters do things that often involve free weight or body weight. So they're doing things like boxing or, running up bleachers or doing push-ups or pull-ups or something along those lines. You'll rarely ever see them in a gym doing a machine. It just doesn't portray the character as well as they want. So maybe it's less masculine, or it doesn't seem as they're strong enough to portray their character. And then on the other hand, you have the machine influencers. So maybe you've been influenced by someone who says you need to try this machine because it'll really help you achieve a certain muscle tension, or it'll help me lose a certain amount of fat in a certain area or something like that. So both sides of the aisle can back up their training style or the way they influence to make you think a certain way. So to put it simply, I think that free weights have basically been boiled down to being portrayed as more gritty, maybe more authentic or stronger. And then machines are more viewed as commercialized, more comfortable, more safe maybe, and then maybe a little bit more modern. And in my opinion, I think it's a total myth that one is better than the other. So there really is no supreme way of working out as long as it's meeting those basic guidelines that I was talking about earlier. They're, both are viable options to do certain things that you want to get better at. So I think it's important to talk about the word functional, because I think the word functional comes up a lot when, maybe you're watching social media or you're learning about movement. You hear that one thing is more functional versus the other. So is it going to help you do your daily tasks better? So what a lot of people will be persuaded to teach you, or maybe you're persuaded to do one or the other because it's more quote unquote functional. But so here's a real world example of how one of the largest fitness chains actually talks about functional fitness training. So I'll read you the article really quick, and then I'll tell you how they're portraying it in terms of using either machines or free weights. So here's the article. If you've heard the term functional fitness training and cocked your head like an adorable, albeit confused puppy, don't worry. It's a term that sounds simple but can lead to confusion. Functional fitness training is a type of workout geared explicitly toward better function when performing everyday tasks. These tasks might include putting a heavy object on a high shelf, bending to pick up something off the floor, or walking up and down stairs. Think of functional fitness as maximizing your workout time to make everyday life easier. With functional training as a part of a regular workout routine, you can more safely enjoy your daily coffee run, weekly grocery trip, or annual ski trip with less worry about everyday injuries. So then they go on to list the exercises that would help you achieve that. And those are squats, planks, bridges, lunges, and downward facing dog. And then it says, as you know, functional fitness focuses on movement that mimics everyday activities. On the other hand, weight training is centered around lifting weights to build muscle mass and strength. So basically, in summary, this article is saying that in order to be functional and be able to lift things off the floor, do your weekly grocery trip, you have to do things that are not machine-based, so more free weight-based. But I want you to imagine you just walk into the gym for the first time. You've never been to the gym. You're just starting your fitness journey. The machine is probably going to be the easier one to learn because it's so focused on one aspect or one thing. So if I want to build strength, I have to be consistent over a certain number of weeks, so 6 to 8 weeks. And over 80% of Americans are going to drop out in those first 2 weeks. So if you want to build initial strength in a controlled, safe environment, a machine is a great way to do that, to initially get that first start of building muscle strength and that mind to muscle connection. It's also a way to build strength coordination for free weight movement. So it's a great way to build up to that. It also helps us manage pain of those joints. And it's also a great way to introduce yourself to lifting weights. Free weights, on the other hand, might be better for less constraint or more movement freedom. So it can do everything a machine can do. A free weight can help you become stronger. It can help you be more coordinated. It might often be perceived as harder or more advanced, which I don't think is true. And it can actually be a great intro to fitness if you decide to be, more of an at-home worker-outer versus a gym person. And it gives you a lot more freedom to use your whole body than, say, a machine. And then you can also use free weights to do maybe more of a conditioning workout versus strength. So basically what I'm trying to say is that there is no better one way to start a workout. There is, machines are not better than free weights. Free weights are not better than machines. So where does that leave us? If you're thinking about going to the gym, or maybe you've just started, use the machine or free weight that you are more interested in. And if you're unsure, start with machines. Pick 3 machines for your first day. Keep it simple. If you're considering doing any cardio, use the treadmill. It doesn't matter what order you want to do it in. Do it before or do it after. And as long as you're doing something that is hard enough, but not too hard, you're doing the right thing. So as a whole, movement professionals should cool it on bashing, one thing or the other. And I think instead we need to focus on how we can get our clients the results they want. Client and fitness goers should focus more on moving in whatever way makes them feel good. And then gym machines help us be more human because their intent is to make us better at something, stronger, and move more. So something that widely should be adopted by all of us, moving more often, getting stronger at something, being better at something. And the tools that we use shouldn't define the way we do it, but what we actually do with them to get better. All right, so that's it for today's episode of the Movement Multiverse. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a follow and leave a comment on any ideas you have for future episodes, or if you found this episode useful in any way. Thanks for tuning in.